right, what's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to Car Chronicles. I'm Deanna, for those of you that don't know. My Car Chronicles, let's see. How did it start? As I've mentioned in previous videos, shouts out to Gen X millennials, those that are on GLP-1 medications that have just honestly recorded in their car and they were just talking to the camera. I find that content to be great as someone who commutes. I have a 4-hour round trip commute to work twice a week, and so that's the birth of Car Chronicles. All right, so back to my challenge. I am on day 16 out of 75. The challenge consists of movement for 75 days straight. There's no time limit or expectation of what that movement is. It could be walking for 15 minutes. It could be I got on the spin bike for 10 minutes. It could be that I went to CrossFit for 60 minutes. And then the other part of the challenge, and the real reason why I'm doing the challenge, is because I am getting my doctorate in psychology. And I'm in the midst of writing chapter 2. I have to do 30 pages of writing, and for whatever reason, I have struggled for different reasons in terms of getting the writing done. And my chair and I had like the big come to Jesus last week, so here we are. So I decided, even before the big talk, I had already decided to do this challenge. So when I met with her last Thursday, I was all excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I made so much progress. I've dedicated 7+ hours a week to just writing, and every day part of the challenge is that I have to write at minimum 45 minutes. I have to, and it not just writing, I have to either write, do research, fix APA formatting, revisions, because I usually get comments from her on my documents to revise certain things, submit things to Tutor on Demand, all of that. So that's part of what I have to do. Well, last night I was having a conversation with my parents, specifically my dad, and I was telling him how this whole conversation happened with my chair and his just, ways of just knowing me as a person. Because I told him, I was like, Dad, we have a whole system that we just need to follow, and I don't understand why we have to be off schedule. Why are you giving me 25 expectations that I'm going to have to try to do in literally a week, knowing that I work full time, knowing that I have, life responsibilities? Why don't we just stay the course? And he's like, see, and he had a way of just reminding me. He was like, you have to remember, that's part of like getting a doctorate. He's like, remember when you're like, Dad, we should go get our PhDs together? And he was like, and I was like, he said, no, I'm not going to do that. No. I was not wise enough yet, if that makes sense. I didn't have that wisdom. He already had it, because obviously he's 20 plus years older than me. So he knew better. When you know better, you do better. I, on the other hand, was like, let me just be an overachiever and just do this. Just kidding. But he did remind me. He was like, Deanna, the whole reason why you have the chair is to guide you through this process. And he's like, of course, you like structured and rigidness. And the reality is, this process is not that. And I was like, so you're basically telling me I have to create my own system to make it manageable and structured and rigid like I want it to be, as if I'm working? That's been my struggle, being an employee for years. Since I was a kid, since I started working at 16, 17 years old. I like order, I like structure, I like consistency. And when I get a whole bunch of things coming at me at once, I'm like, why is this all chaotic? It doesn't make sense to me. That's just how I am. But in the same space, in the same breath, he's like, in this process, you have to be adaptable. And I'm like, am I not being adaptable? Really? being adaptable? It hasn't been 24 hours since we've had this conversation, but as I'm still marinating on his words, I'm like, there is some truth to this. I mean, a lot of truth. I just don't want to accept it. I just want things to be smooth, consistent, and not chaos. And the fact that the highest level, or one of the highest levels that you can get in your academic career path or journey, it has to be just as chaotic and dysfunctional as I've experienced as an employee. I'm like, really? But here's the caveat to this. Because you guys know I work in higher education. I've been in higher education for the last 5 years. I'm in my 6th year teaching full-time early childhood education courses. And I'm like, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. This space is just as dysfunctional, chaotic, and all the things. And when I talk to other people that work at other institutions, they say it's across the board. It's not like unique to one place. This is just, as they say, academia. The problem is that coming from early childhood, specifically from a practitioner lens, and working with children, there is a time and place and space for children to be able to be child-led in a program. And then there's also this part in working with children where you have to at least provide boundaries. Not like hard line, rigid structure, but there has to be boundaries so they know like what can I do and what can I not do? Like how far can I push the limits? But if you have solid routines and solid boundaries, then children can pretty much thrive in your program. And I'm coming from like working in the classroom, and then also a good 10 years of my career was in social work. In the last, I guess, 5 years of my work was in behavioral health, infant, toddler, mental health to be specific, and also did some early intervention. So even in those spaces, it could get chaotic, but I also had to be adaptable because I was working with children, working with families, working with peers. You just had to adapt all the time. The older I get, and I know I'm only 41, but I always tell people I live a 51-year-old life. The older I get, the more I have accepted the fact that I'm not working with people with military backgrounds, and that's key to say, because I grew up in a very structured home. And so when you grow up like that, and you are going into the workforce or adulthood, whatever you want to call it, you have this expectation in your mind. You're like, why are these grown adults acting like children? Literally, that's what I would think at like 19 years old. And now I say the same thing at 41. I'm like, what? I don't understand what's going on. But at 41, I've accepted the fact that not everyone has had the same experience as me. And also, they're just not hardwired to be how I am. So that's just what it is, you know? So anyways, after having that great talk with my dad, I got off the phone, and I did need to work on writing for at least a minimum 20-30 minutes because I did some earlier in the day, but I needed to finish up the challenge for the night. And you know what ended up happening? I got into the groove, and I ended up writing from about 9:45 at night until I think it was 12:45 a.m. or 1 o'clock in the morning, and actually got uploaded a video at that hour just because I was like, somebody needs to hear this message. Somebody needs to know, and someone needs to remember why they're doing what they're doing, because that's what keeps me going Because at the end of the day, in my conversation with my dad, it was like, what else was I going to do different based off of the conversation with my chair last week? What was I going to do? Quit? I'm not going to quit now. I've dedicated too much time. I'm too close to being done to quit. So in the reality, I was going to end up going back to writing. Yes, I cried into my lunch. Yeah, that happened. I had to pick myself up off the ground, lick my wounds, and just keep writing that night. I mean, honestly, there was nothing else I was going to do. Because I'm not going to quit. That's the thing, is that I can't quit. Too much is on the line at this point. And if I quit now, I know that I'm going to be challenged with this same exact scenario if I don't get past this test now in my life. So, that's what I got for today. I still got a good hour and 40 minutes to where I need to go, but I'm going to end this car chronicle. I hope that you guys have an amazing Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day that you end up watching this. But I hope you all can join the challenge. Identify what is it that you know that you need to get done, and join the fun. Figure out the movement and figure out what other thing that you need to do. Whether it's writing your paper, decluttering your house, signing up for an activity you've wanted to do, whatever it is, join me on the 75-day challenge. And feel free to write in the comments like what you're doing. How do you stack habits? How do you keep yourself motivated? What's the thing to get you going when you don't want to do it anymore, when you're ready to quit? And as always, like and subscribe if you like this content. All right, catch you guys next time.